Most people think their future will be decided by one big opportunity, one lucky break, or one life-changing decision. But your future is usually being built somewhere much quieter, in the things you repeat when nobody is watching. Every time you avoid something difficult, you practice avoidance. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you practice discipline, and slowly, what you practice becomes who you are. Think about the person you are today, your ability to stay calm, your tendency to overthink, your discipline, your fears, your confidence, your way of speaking to people. None of these appeared overnight. They were shaped by patterns. Some were chosen consciously. Others were repeated so often that you stopped noticing them. That is the strange thing about habits. At first, you perform them, then you repeat them, and eventually, they begin to perform you. A person who constantly delays difficult work may eventually say, "I am just a procrastinator." But procrastination was not necessarily their identity in the beginning. It was a behavior repeated until it felt like identity. The same is true in the opposite direction. A person who repeatedly does difficult things begins to see themselves differently. They don't simply become more productive. They begin to believe, "I can trust myself when things become difficult." And that belief changes behavior again. This is why repetition is so powerful. Your brain learns from what you repeatedly do, but there is something even deeper here. You are not only building habits, you are building evidence about who you are. Every time you wake up and do what you said you would do, you give yourself evidence that you are reliable. Every time you lose your temper and then justify it, you give yourself evidence that your emotions control you. Every time you face discomfort instead of escaping it, you give yourself evidence that discomfort does not own you. This is where philosophy becomes practical. You cannot rewrite yesterday. You cannot go back and change the habits that created parts of your present. But you can interrupt the pattern. You can decide that the next repetition will be different. Imagine two people standing at the same starting point. One spends the next 5 years choosing comfort whenever life becomes difficult. The other spends those 5 years practicing patience, discipline, learning, and courage. At the beginning, the difference may be almost invisible, but 5 years later, they may seem like completely different people, not because one magical moment transformed them, because thousands of small repetitions did. And this is both uncomfortable and liberating. Uncomfortable because we have to take responsibility for what we repeatedly choose. Liberating because we are not permanently trapped by what we practiced in the past. You don't have to become a completely different person tomorrow. Start smaller. If you want to become disciplined, practice keeping one small promise every day. If you want to become calm, practice creating a pause before reacting. If you want to become courageous, practice doing one uncomfortable thing instead of avoiding it. If you want to become wiser, practice questioning your first reaction. Don't ask only, "What do I want to achieve?" Ask, "What kind of person will I become if I keep living this way?" Because your habits are not simply taking you somewhere. They are turning you into someone. So be careful what you repeat, the conversation you keep having in your head, the excuses you keep making, the people you keep surrounding yourself with, the actions you keep postponing, and the promises you keep or break with yourself. All of them are practice, and practice has a destination. The person you are today is evidence of what you have repeatedly practiced. The person you become tomorrow will be shaped by what you practice today. So don't wait for your future to change. Change the repetition. Because every ordinary day is quietly asking you one question. Who are you training yourself to become?